Sometimes, silence is the only answer you need when words no longer hold meaning. When the connection fades, it's better to let go than to force something that's no longer there. The hardest part of letting go is realizing that the person you once knew is no longer the same. There's a moment when you realize that distance doesn't just mean physical space, but emotional freedom too. Some endings aren't sad, they're liberating. When nothing is left to say, it's time to walk away. It's not about burning bridges, it's about understanding when to let them stand on their own. There's strength in walking away, even when it feels like the hardest thing you've ever eaten. Sometimes we don't need closure from others, just peace within ourselves. The quiet after the storm is where you find the real answers. Not every relationship needs to end with a conversation. Some just fade into the past. Letting go doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're accepting that the path has changed. You don't always need to have a reason to walk away. Sometimes it's just about feeling that it's time. Some relationships are meant to be chapters, not the entire story. The most painful goodbyes are the ones that come without any words. Time teaches you that not every conversation is worth having. It's not about cutting ties, it's about understanding when they naturally unravel. The best way to heal is often through distance, not through explanations. We don't need a final message to move on. Sometimes the absence of one speaks louder than any words could. When someone's place in your life changes, it's time to change your direction. When you're both not on the same wavelength anymore, silence is the only truth that remains. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. When love fades, sometimes the best option is silence, not more words. Not every connection needs to be mended. Some are just meant to break. Healing often starts with a simple step, knowing when it's time to let go. There's a certain peace in letting things end without fanfare. Sometimes the best closure is in walking away quietly without the need for an explanation. Not all relationships need to end in a confrontation. Some end simply by letting go. We grow when we let go of things that no longer serve us, including people. When you stop seeking answers, you start finding peace. Distance helps us remember what truly matters, and sometimes that means stepping away from everything else. You don't always need a conversation to understand that it's time to part ways. Some of the hardest decisions come when you realize it's better to walk away than to stay. In silence, you'll find your strength, and in distance, you'll find clarity. Letting go of someone isn't giving up on them, it's choosing to give up on something that doesn't serve either of you. Not all connections need to last forever. Sometimes their purpose is fulfilled in a moment. The most meaningful distance can sometimes be the space between two hearts, not a lack of love. Sometimes moving on doesn't mean erasing, it just means learning to live without the constant contact. There are moments in life when walking away is the most loving thing you can do. It's the absence of words that speaks volumes when the connection has ended. Sometimes a single silence can hold more meaning than 1,000 words. True strength lies in the ability to walk away, not in holding on when it no longer feels right. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care enough to give each other space to grow. Not every chapter of our lives needs to end with closure. Some are just better left unfinished. It's easy to stay in touch, but it takes courage to let go when the time is right. Closure isn't always given to us. Sometimes we have to create it for ourselves. There's no need to keep holding on to what's already gone. The most peaceful path is often the one where silence leads the way. Ending a chapter doesn't mean you didn't learn from it. It means it's time to move forward. In the end, walking away isn't a weakness, it's an act of strength. The beauty of letting go is in the freedom it brings to move on without regret. Sometimes, not contacting each other is the best way to show respect for what once was. You don't need to explain why you need space. Sometimes it's just necessary for your well-being. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is let go, but it's also the most liberating. Not every goodbye requires an explanation. Some are just understood. Silence can be the most powerful response when nothing else can be said. Letting go of the past creates space for a future that's free from what no longer serves you. It's okay to walk away from what's draining you, even if it's something you once loved. Walking away doesn't erase the memories. It simply makes room for new ones.